What's good, everybody? What's going on? This is Abil Mahari here, represent MehariNation Sports Podcast here on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Salute to the entire LDBC. Salute to the greater basketball community here on YouTube, man. I'm actually going to go ahead and go live for probably about maybe 10 to 20 minutes because I got to go to a basketball practice shortly at 6. So I won't go on for too long, though, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about my reflections on the Eastern Conference Finals that's going to be coming up tonight. But before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about what I saw last night in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between the Portland Trail Blazers versus the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, Steph Curry had a phenomenal night. Phenomenal. He had about 9 3-pointers in that game and basically had any shot that he wanted. Any shot he took, it was nothing but cash money. So I thought to myself in that game, the Blazers were – I'll tell you this, though. The Blazers turned the ball over way too much. They gave up way too many uncontested three-point shots. But in the first half, they were still close by because they were shooting at a high percentage. But I knew in the second half it wasn't going to be the case. Because to me, the Portland Trail Blazers didn't do a great job of stopping the Warriors' pick-and-roll sets. The one thing they do so well is that off the screen and roll play, they create mismatches there between the opposing big guys, and that puts the guards against a big guy, which is basically a matchup nightmare. You know what I mean? So the one thing that I'll be looking for, in Game 2 is how the Blazers, adjust to that screen and roll play. And Damian Lillard didn't shoot the ball well in the first game. Now, I will say that the Portland Trail Blazers were just off of an emotional Game 7 victory. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I will certainly be watching for, in Game 2, however, is how do the Blazers, adjust to that screen and roll play, and how do they adjust defensively to stop, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson from getting these open looks, because they were getting free looks all night long. Curry only missed only 6 threes. He was 9 of 15. He had 36 points. He was just blazing hot. You know what I mean? Any shot he wanted. And Klay, no stranger to that though, man. He was basically 3 for 9 and shot the ball 20 to 24 from the field. You know what I mean? So the way I look at it is this. I say that the Golden State Warriors had an easy night, getting a lot of shots off in the second half. But I think the Portland Trail Blazers are going to look at the tape and realize they're going to need to do a better job, guarding the shooters. They can't just simply close out on the shooters and contest the shots. You have to literally close out to them and force them to drive the basketball. I think, but to me, that's probably the only chance you'll get in beating these Golden State Warriors. Now, the bench for the Warriors did a really good job. They gave in good minutes. And, Rodney Hood, salute to him. He tried his best to play through that knee injury, but I thought that knee injury was kind of a draining thing on him because he was basically hopping a bit during the game, though, too. So, the way I see it is this. I think this was just a one-night thing. I think the Blazers were just trying to, figure themselves out, and they got blitzed. But if they're going to take Game 2, if they're going to take one of these games in Golden State, Game 2 has to be that one. They can't afford to go down 2-0 in the series against the defending champions. It's not going to happen. Craig L., what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? You know what I'm saying? So the way I look at it is this. The Blazers need to win Game 2 to try to get the home court advantage on their side. Because if they don't, it's not like there's a chance they can win both games on their home floor, but it'll just be asking a lot facing against the defending champions. And with no Kevin Durant too on their side, because he's going to be out probably the first 4 games until probably Game 5 of the series. It's going to be imperative to try to at least get some wins under your belt in the event when Kevin Durant comes back. So that's my thoughts on that. I think the Blazers would play much better in Game 2 and probably defend better as well. So now I want to talk to you guys about the Eastern Conference Finals that's going to happen tonight between the Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Two are the best teams in the NBA record-wise, you know? So, hold on one second. Okay. So, the way I look at it is this. I say that I said before that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to make it to the NBA Finals. Now, it's not going to be an easy series, to say the least, because the Toronto Raptors have a very good front line. And more importantly to that, they have a front line that can basically interchange themselves anytime, Giannis drives to the basket and tries to get to the rim. So it's going to be critical to see how the Milwaukee Bucks are going to try to attack against the Toronto Raptors front line. Now, I'm not saying that the Toronto Raptors are good defensively, though. They're decent, especially with Kawhi at the helm. But what I'm saying is this. I'm saying that the Toronto Raptors front line can interchange themselves, and it's going to be interesting to see how Giannis adjusts to that stuff, I think tonight is going to be a telling sign of how both these seeds will react to one another. The Milwaukee Bucks, had some rest after they kind of disposed of the Boston Celtics, and the Toronto Raptors have gone through an emotional high after the amazing game-winning shot by Kawhi Leonard on Sunday that sent them to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams are going to approach to one another. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to come in off the emotion of the crowd and try to take game one, probably in a blowout, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think that several factors in the series, so is that Crouton is coming back, though, too, so that's going to add another dimension for the Milwaukee Bucks, so, too. I think that for Toronto for the Bucks, I should say, I think the big key for the Toronto Raptors in this series is the production of both Siakam, Lowry, also Ibaka, and Gasol. These guys need to produce and need to help, Kawhi Leonard if they're going to have a chance to pull off the upset against the Milwaukee Bucks. The same thing goes for the Bucks as well. Middleton, Bledsoe, all of them dudes need to provide supporting role in place of their superstars if they're going to have a chance to win this series. Now, Milwaukee is a better three-point shooting team than the Toronto Raptors, but the Toronto Raptors, to me, though, they are very good in spurts, but they sometimes are inconsistent and they don't, play through good stretches at times, which I think the Milwaukee Bucks are better at that. So I see this as a 6-game series. I see that the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Toronto Raptors in 6 games and going to the NBA Finals. Now, whatever happens in the finals from here on in, who knows? But I think in these Eastern Conference Finals, I have the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Toronto Raptors in 6. That's my opinion. So that's just how I think of it at the moment, though. So, but also I want to get into some NBA news for a second, though. For those of you who don't know, the New Orleans Pelicans won the NBA draft lottery and secured the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. Now, speculation before the draft was that Anthony Davis is going to be shipped around in trade rumors, and it's going to be shifted somewhere. Now, it's kind of changed the tone a bit because now, since the Pelicans have won the NBA draft lottery and obviously going to pick Zion Williamson, of course, now this might add a little screw into this thing because I think this is going to encourage Anthony Davis to stay with the New Orleans Pelicans instead of moving elsewhere. Because if you're playing with a freakish athlete like a Zion Williamson on your team, can you imagine the kind of damage those two players can do? Awfully scary. So I think Anthony Davis will probably reconsider and probably stay in New Orleans. Now, will he sign the max deal if the Pelicans give it to him? Who knows, man? Big Money says, who you got in the Eastern Conference Finals? I got the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games over the Toronto Raptors. I think that the Bucks are much more of a balanced team, and I think Giannis is going to have his way. But it's not going to be easy against that front line of the Toronto Raptors because if you go through Kawhi, you also got to go through Siakam, you got to go through Ibaka, and then Gasol is the last man of defense on that front line, Craig says Bucks in 7. Okay. I could, you know what? I could see that going to 7 games too. I wouldn't dispute that at all. I could see that going to 7 games, but I think this is gonna go in 6 games. And we got 5 people here watching, though, guys. Go ahead and smash that like button, guys, for me. Go ahead and smash that like button. The more likes, the better, though, guys. Go ahead and smash that like button. So now I'm thinking about this whole situation with the Pelicans. Now things are got a bit more interesting to me, because now I think Anthony Davis will probably take a chance and staying and probably building something with Zion Williamson. Now, what they produce and what they can do off the top of Zion Williamson, we do not know. But I think now this is going to add much more interesting plots heading into this free agency season too. Because I'm telling you, this free agency is going to shape up the NBA for the next 10 years. You better believe that. A lot of free agents like Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, and the names go on and so on and so forth, Hey, Williams School Arden, what's going on, brother? Hey, I'm glad to see you that you're feeling better, man. Yeah, I know. I was just talking about your Pelicans just now, bro. Yeah, congratulations on your Pelicans. They earned the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. You guys are going to get Zion Williamson. You know what I'm saying? One of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen in the history of college basketball. When I look at Zion Williamson, too, he reminds me much more of the dominant presence of a Larry Johnson, but better. Because Larry Johnson was also the same familiar, freakish athlete, but Zion Williamson has much more skill set than what Johnson can do. Zion can pass, he can defend, obviously he can jump, he can dunk, he can explode, he can block shots, he rebounds. The total package, I'm telling you, bro. It's gonna be a very interesting thing when Zion Williamson gets drafted, though, and how the Pelicans are going to build, off of the talents of both Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis, if Anthony Davis stays in New Orleans. But that's it here and there. But the one unbelievable thing that came out of this draft lottery is how the concept of tanking doesn't always equal the number 1 overall pick. Unlike the NFL, where if you have the worst record in the NFL, you obviously will get the number 1 overall pick. But three of the worst teams in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, the Chicago Bulls, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, had the better odds of getting the number 1 overall pick. But somehow, some way, they did not earn the number 1 pick. In fact, they actually dropped down to the bottom 5. I think the Chicago Bulls got the 7th pick, the Suns got the 6th, and then the Cavaliers got the 5th. While the Knicks and the Lakers got the 3 and 4 picks. You know what I'm saying? Very weird, though, to say the least, though. But hey, it just goes to show you can't always rely on tanking to get high draft picks, because you never know you never get the number 1 overall pick in most cases. Now, for those of you who watched my live stream last night, I said before that one of my all-time favorite draft lottery moments of all time was back in the 1993 NBA draft lottery. Now, let me repeat this one more time, just a little short synopsis. The Orlando Magic was finished that 92-93 season with a 41-41 record. They barely missed the playoffs by just a game. They entered the lottery draft with 1 ping pong ball out of 66. The 3 teams with the worst records were the Dallas Mavericks, my hometown Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Washington Bullets. But somehow, some way, the Orlando Magic won the draft lottery with 1 ping pong ball out of 66 and earned the top pick in the draft. Just unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Just an unbelievable thing just to see that happening, though. Because there was a perception at the time, though, that the NBA draft lottery was basically was kind of rigged up for the big market teams to win. And after that, the Magic won that draft lottery, they had to change the format and the odd numbers, make sure that the least worst team in the NBA doesn't get the number 1 overall pick. But that was one of the most freakish moments. And then the Magic drafted Chris Webber. The Warriors that earned the 3rd pick drafted Penny Hardaway, but ended up swapping each other. And then the Magic, got Penny Hardaway, and then the Warriors got Chris Webber. And Chris Webber only played that 1 year. And then Penny had a really good start to his career until the knee injuries derailed him, though. So, that's really one of my favorite moments of all time too. So, but let me recap one more time about the Eastern Conference Finals. I have the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games. I think the Bucks are a bit more balanced offensively than I think the Toronto Raptors is because to me, the supporting cast of the Milwaukee Bucks has shown to be much more consistent to me than the Toronto Raptors are. And most of us saw that during that series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, man, Mr. Carl Burrell, CB Sports TV, salute on me. What's good, man? Yeah, man. So that's just how I see it, though. I think this is going to be a very compelling series between, obviously, the matchup of Giannis Antetokounmpo versus Kawhi Leonard. Now, I could understand if you say that Kawhi Leonard has the experience factor. I think Giannis is much more of an explosive athlete than Kawhi is, but maybe somewhat by a stretch, though. And CB says, I got the Raptors in 6. Woo, okay. Okay, CB. Okay, explain to me why do you have it in 6? Okay, puts it up there. I just want to see why you have it in 6, CB. Let me know on that. But I think that the Milwaukee Bucks are much more of a balanced team, and I think that loss in that second round series against the Celtics in that first game was the wake up call they needed. Then after that, 4 straight victories. It was basically a cakewalk through that. It was basically a cakewalk because the Celtics were just too inconsistent and they just did not know how to use their rotation correctly. And the injuries didn't help too, So, that's how I kind of see it. I think Toronto's going to be in for a hell of a series, but I think Milwaukee's is a slight bit better than the Toronto Raptors in my opinion. So that's all I got for now, you guys, though. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, though. So I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time, 8 p.m. Central Time on my podcast here. This is Bill Mehari, represent MehariNation Sports Podcast here, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.